I knew I was screwed the second I stepped into that conference room. Not because I was the youngest professor on the faculty, or because my tie was choking me like it had a personal vendetta, or even because I'd spent all night rewriting my speech 17 times. It was worse. Corin Thorn walked in. Yeah, that Corin Thorn, ex-husband, ex-professor, the guy who divorced me like I was some side chick in a soap opera. And now here he was, strutting into my conference like he owned the building, while I was about to give an opening speech. And my body, oh my stupid, traitorous Omega body, decided now was the perfect time to short circuit. My scent spiked, loud, sharp. Everyone in that room whipped their heads toward me like bloodhounds. The nausea hit next. Not just nerves, not just humiliation. My stomach twisted, my chest seized, and I realized, oh fuck me, I wasn't just the smell of my heat. It also silently whispered I am pregnant. Every alpha in that room smelled it before I could even think of lying. Pregnant, alone, freshly humiliated. I dropped my notes and made a beeline for the doors, papers flying everywhere like confetti at my own funeral. And because the universe hates me personally, I glanced back before hitting the door, and Corin was watching me, cold, silent, that unreadable face carved from granite. And my brain, ever the masochist, decided he was smug about it, that he was standing there thinking, pathetic, still mine, always mine. So yeah, I ran. Because what else do you do when your ex-husband finds out you're carrying his pup in the middle of a faculty conference? Later that night, I spent the rest of the day hiding in my office like some washed-up rock star after a bad concert. Except instead of drugs and groupies, I had stale coffee and the crushing weight of my own bad decisions. Corin Thorn, back, in my orbit. Like a damn comet you thought burned out years ago, but nope, surprise, here he is again, torching up my sky just when I finally stopped checking the constellations. Ideally, I never should have gotten involved with him in the first place. He was my professor for 3 years, and I was his model student. That all went out the window when I overheard him and his brother discussing how he was dangerously close to being cut out of the family inheritance, having not found a suitable mate. My intrusive thoughts won out, and I offered to be his contractual mate. It was a win-win situation to me, you know? I'd get to live out my professor fetish/fantasy, and he'd get to cash in on his inheritance. What we didn't account for was actually hooking up halfway into the charade, and me catching feelings. Stupidly, I thought he felt the same way too, so I confessed. I deadass bore my heart out to Corin Thorn, only for the asshole to divorce me the very next day. Ugh! I slammed my pen down, stared at the baby blue folder in front of me, the one that still said Professor Arden in crisp letters, and tried not to gag on how bitter it tasted now. This was supposed to be my fresh start, my shot, my I don't need no alpha arc. Raise my kid in peace, rack up publications, maybe finally get invited to the cool table at faculty dinners without sweating through my shirt. But no. Now he knew. He knew I was pregnant, and Corin Thorn doesn't just know things. He uses them. Always has. Always will. And the part in all this that made me want to put my head through the desk. I still wanted him, like the body wants. Stupid glands buzzing, skin prickling, that ache low in my gut that doesn't give a damn how much my brain screams he left you. Every nerve ending in me was still tuned to his frequency, like a dog whining at the door for the bastard who kicked it. I hate myself for it, hate him more. Hate that when I closed my eyes, it wasn't the faceless dream alpha I pictured raising this pup with. It was him. His hands, his voice, his heat curling around me like it always did. And the worst part, the part that really kept me spiraling, if Corin wanted in on this, the kid, my life, me, I didn't trust that I had it in me to stop him. 1 month later. 1 month. That's all it took for my shiny new life to turn into a fever dream nobody asked for. Everywhere I went, whispers trailed after me like toilet paper stuck to my shoe. Is the pup Corin's? The divorce was only a while ago. Wasn't the marriage a fake one? Maybe he cheated? Yeah, fantastic. Exactly the kind of campus reputation I wanted. Nothing says respectable academic like being the hot topic on the faculty gossip menu right between the dean's wig is crooked and someone microwaved fish in the lounge, and then there was Corin, always there. Not there, but close. A shadow at the edge of a corridor. A silhouette a second too long at the library's glass doors. He seemed to be always watching. Corin had never claimed me back then, and even now he wouldn't say a word. But my body knew when he was close by. Like my instincts had his GPS coordinates installed. Every time the hair on my arms prickled, I didn't even have to look. Corin Thorne was watching, but it wasn't all bad, because I now had Elias. Professor Elias Hartman. The guy was like the sun after years of cloud cover. Broad-shouldered, carved like Michelangelo, had a personal grudge against marble, but with a smile so easy it practically disarmed you. The polar opposite of Corin's broody, Alpha of the Damned routine. Elias was warm, open. He cracked jokes in faculty meetings, winked at me when I looked like I wanted to sink through the floor, and actually stood up for me. When colleagues tried to edge me out of projects, Elias shut them down. When my nerves were raw from the whispers, he was right there with sympathy and stupid puns. He was witty, gentle, complimentary, everything Corin wasn't. This, I told myself, is the kind of alpha I should want, not him. One afternoon, I was buried in a mountain of grating, running on fumes, when Elias strolled into my office with 2 steaming cups of coffee. Figured you were too busy saving academia to remember lunch, he said. Grinned so wide I almost forgot what bitterness tasted like. We talked. Easy, light. The kind of conversation that skipped from banter to something almost flirty. His hand brushed mine when he handed over the cup, and I swear for half a second I thought, maybe this could be something. Then the door opened, and in walked Corin. The air shifted like someone had cut the power. Elias froze. Corin's eyes locked on me, sharp and unreadable. I need to speak with you. Privately, his voice was low, absolute. Elias cleared his throat, gave me an apologetic little nod, and slipped out. Just like that. And I was left staring daggers at the alpha who'd blown my life to pieces. What the hell do you think you're doing? I snapped. Corin didn't flinch. Are you really pregnant? That landed like a punch to the gut, but I wasn't about to let him see it. You want a better question? I shot back. Why the hell have you been shooting down my proposals in meetings? Why block Elias's offer to co-author with me? Corin's jaw tightened. I'm protecting you. I laughed. Sharp, humorless. Protecting me? By sabotaging me? By chasing away the one person who's actually been decent to me? He didn't answer. Just stood there, coiled, silent, like he thought that would make me bend. I stepped closer, heat flooding my face. Let me make something real clear, Professor Thorne. I don't need you. I don't need your help. And I sure as hell don't need you hovering around me like some failed bodyguard. Stay away from me and my child. Take your protection and shove it. I shoved past him, my pulse hammering so hard it rattled in my teeth. And for the first time in 2 months, I saw something flicker in his expression. Not smugness, not superiority. Something so distinctly out of place I couldn't quite describe it. 1 month later, another month passed, and my belly began showing. Not a lot. I wasn't waddling down the halls with a watermelon strapped under my shirt yet, but enough that I couldn't pass it off as a tragic carb addiction anymore. The whispers had changed too. No more. Is he really pregnant? Now it was, wow, did you see? He really is pregnant, so yeah, great. My uterus had become the main character on campus. The only silver lining? Corin had backed off. I mean, not really. He still lurked at the edges of things like Batman without the cape. But after our last showdown, he seemed to get the hint. He wasn't hovering, wasn't barging into my life every 5 minutes. And with him giving me space, that left room for Elias. And Elias was different. We'd fallen into this easy rhythm. Midday coffee breaks, evening walks off campus, shared jokes about our coworkers who couldn't tell a citation from a shopping list. For once, someone wanted to spend time with me because they wanted to, not out of obligation, not out of some broken sense of duty. So when he invited me over for dinner at his place, I said yes before my brain had time to invent 50 ways it could go wrong. Dinner. At Elias's. The alpha who made me laugh. The alpha who wasn't Corin. The alpha who felt safe. By 7 o'clock, I was standing in his apartment, and let me tell you, the man could cook. Like really cook. Not, I watched one Gordon Ramsay video on YouTube and now I think I'm hot stuff. Cook. I mean, the food was delicious. Beautiful even. Candlelight flickering, warm smells wrapping around me, and for once I felt wanted, cherished even, after. Dinner, we sat and talked. Easy, comfortable. Then some old records started playing in the background. Something soft, low, with strings that curled around the air like smoke. And Elias stood, held out a hand, and said, "Dance with me." And damn it, I did. It was magical in the way Hallmark movies are magical if you squint hard enough. The way he spun me gently, his hand warm against the small of my back, the way I almost forgot the world outside existed. For a brief, glittering second, I thought, maybe this is what I've been waiting for. But then, his hand slid lower, at first, subtle, covert, a brush here, a linger there. I laughed it off, gently moved him back up, but then it got bolder, firmer, his mouth too close to my ear, his grip not as gentle anymore. "Elias," I said, sharper this time. "Stop." He didn't. "Elias." I pushed harder, breaking the moment like glass shattering. Something ugly flickered in his eyes, gone too fast to pin down. My stomach churned. All the warmth, the comfort, the magic, it evaporated. I didn't even bother with excuses. I just grabbed my jacket and headed for the door, heart hammering in my throat. I yanked it open and froze, because standing there was a group of men, some familiar faces from campus, others complete strangers. They were laughing, loud, holding beers and bags, but when they saw me, the noise cut off like someone had slammed the mute button. The way their eyes landed on me, wide, curious, sharp with something I didn't like, my skin prickled. And suddenly, I wasn't in a Hallmark movie anymore. I was in the opening act of a horror film. I told myself to play it cool. Just get to the car, keep your head down, don't make eye contact with the frat party extras standing in the hallway. Easy. Totally doable. Except it wasn't. Because they followed me. Out the door, into the parking lot, and by the time I made it within touching distance of my car, they'd circled in like sharks that smelled blood in the water. "Hey, Elias," one of them jeered, loud enough for the whole damn world to hear. "Did you rut him yet?" My stomach dropped. And Elias, the man I'd just slow danced with in candlelight, the man who made me think for 5 stupid seconds that maybe I deserved something soft. He grinned. Actually grinned. "Almost," he said. "Was just getting to the good part before he decided to play coy." Laughter exploded around me, sharp and ugly. I froze. My brain screamed, move, run, leave. But my body was locked up like an idiot deer on a freeway. I tried to push a laugh out, fake casual, "Ha, wow, look at the time, I really gotta go." But one of them blocked my door with his arm. "No rush, sweetheart," he drawled. "We just want to know what it's like." little pregnant professor like you." The air felt hot, thick. Their eyes crawled over me like hands, and every second that ticked by, the jeering got louder, crueler. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, and then the sound split, a fist hitting a jaw, Elias's jaw. The crack echoed across the lot, Elias stumbling back with blood on his lip before he even knew what hit him. And there he was. Corin. My Corin. Except not mine anymore. He wasn't calm or smug or lurking at the edges this time. He was a storm, violence in a tailored coat. His eyes burned, and before anyone could react, he had Elias by the collar and slammed him against a car so hard the alarm went off, screaming. "You think this is a game?" Corin's voice was low, dangerous, the kind of tone that made every other alpha shrink back instinctively. Elias swung at him, stupid. Corin didn't even flinch. He ducked, landed another hit, and Elias went down, hard. The rest of them scattered fast, jeers evaporating into panicked silence. No one wanted to take Corin on, not like this. And me? I just stood there like an idiot, trembling so hard my knees almost gave out. Corin didn't even look at me at first. He just dusted off his hands, grabbed my keys from where I'd dropped them, and opened my car door. Then, without asking, he scooped me up like I was weightless, which was really unfair because I am not weightless anymore, and put me inside. The ride home was quiet, too quiet. I sat there staring out the window, my throat tight, hating myself for shaking, for being small, for needing him, for still aching for him. He didn't say a word, just drove. When we finally pulled up outside my place, I thought, okay, good, he'll leave me at the door and I can fall apart in peace. But no, he followed me inside, made himself comfortable on my couch like he owned the place. I stood there, awkward, wringing my hands. "What are you doing?" "Staying," he said flatly. "There's nothing stopping Elias and his little pack of idiots from trying again. And I'm not leaving you here." Alone, I wanted to argue, to tell him I didn't need him, to tell him to shove his protection where the sun doesn't shine. But my voice cracked instead, so I just nodded, turned, and went to bed. And for the first time in almost a year, I was grateful he was there. 3 days later. 3 days. That's how long Corin had been in my apartment. 3 days of me pretending not to notice the way he moved around like he still knew the place, like nothing had changed. 3 days of awkward silences broken by the occasional, "Do you want tea?" or "Your chair's broken?" or the unforgettable, "Your couch sucks." Yeah, real bonding moments there. By Monday, I thought maybe I'd finally gotten my feet back under me. I walked into campus with my head up, belly showing under my vest like a neon sign flashing, "Yes, I'm pregnant, no, you can't touch me." And then Elias showed up, right at my office door, leaning against the frame with that smarmy smile plastered on like he practiced it in the mirror every morning. "Hey," he said, tone so smooth it made my skin crawl. "I just wanted to say, I hope you're not too upset about the other night. You know, just a joke gone too far. A joke, right. Because being cornered in a parking lot like fresh meat at a butcher's shop was hilarious." I saw red. "A joke? You call that a joke? You had your little fan club circling me like hyenas while you, what? Bragged about how close you got before I said no?" My voice cracked, but I didn't care. "You think that's funny?" Elias's smile twitched, slipped. For a second, I saw it. The real him, the sharp teeth under the sugar. His voice dropped, silk stretched too thin. "You're an unclaimed pregnant omega walking these halls," he said. "It's only a matter of time before someone sinks their fangs in. Maybe you should be grateful it's me." My stomach turned. My pulse roared in my ears. I opened my mouth, ready to tell him exactly where he could shove his gratitude. And then Corin walked in. The air shifted instantly. Elias straightened, smoothed his jacket like nothing happened. "Professor," he said, all polite again, like he hadn't just threatened me. He brushed past me, smirking, and stopped right in front of Corin. "Careful," Elias murmured, just loud enough for me to hear. "You got away with throwing me around the other day. Try it again, and I'll make sure you regret it. Don't forget whose family actually owns this university." Corin didn't blink, didn't move, just stood there, silent. A wall of steel that made Elias flinch even as he forced a sneer. Then he was gone, strutting down the hall like he owned it because he practically did. The second the door shut, I finally breathed again. Corin's voice broke the silence. "He won't stop. I'll do my best to keep him and his friends at bay, but maybe you should consider transferring. Another institution might be safer, and that lit the fuse." "Safer?" I snapped. "Oh, how generous of you." Suddenly, now you care? Now you want to swoop in and play savior? His jaw tightened, but he didn't speak, which made it worse. "You don't get to do this, Corin." My voice cracked and soared, all the pain I'd been swallowing for months tearing its way out. "You don't get to abandon me when I bare my soul to you, leave me alone to pick up the pieces, and then come back here and act like some alpha knight in shining armor. Where the hell were you when I needed you?" The silence was deafening, and I couldn't stand it. I grabbed my bag, my notes, anything my hands could find, and stormed out of the office before he could even try to answer. My chest ached, my eyes burned, and still, I kept walking. Because if I stayed 1 second longer, I'd break, and I'd probably tell him how much it meant to me. 1 week later, 1 week. That's how long it had been since I tore into Corin like he'd run over my dog and deleted my Netflix watch list. And maybe, just maybe, I'd overdone it. Because the thing is, he was trying to help. And now that I'd been holed up in my apartment for days, practically barricading myself in with comfort food and paranoia, I couldn't stop replaying it. The look on his face. The silence after I shredded him. I hated myself for it. I'd even tried to call him. More than once. Okay, fine. Like 7 times in one night. No answer. I hovered over his address in my GPS more times than I cared to admit, imagining just showing up. But in the end, I stayed put, because what would I even say? "Hey, sorry I screamed at you and ripped your heart out. Want to split some Oreos?" Yeah, number. So, instead, I forced myself out of the apartment for groceries, because apparently, survival requires more than instant noodles and prenatal vitamins. That's when I ran into Jared. Of all the people in this city, of course, it had to. Be Corin's younger brother, right there by the discount fruit rack like divine punishment. Milo? His tone was ice, his jaw clenched, and then, like a punch to the gut, "Hasn't my brother suffered enough at your hands?" I blinked. Excuse me?" "You heard me." His eyes were hard, sharp. "What you two did, what it cost him, it should have been enough." My stomach twisted. What the hell are you talking about?" The tension between us crackled, even as we shuffled into the checkout line. I managed to keep my voice calm, careful, until finally Jared exhaled and muttered, "Since the wedding was revoked, and your deception was made public, Corin was locked out of his inheritance." My brain short-circuited. Wait. What? Deception? Inheritance? Back up, Jared glanced around like he hated saying it out loud. "Our roots trace back to the first descendants of the Homo crescens. The old bloodlines, which means certain traditions aren't just pageantry, they're binding." He looked at me pointedly. "Your marriage ceremony? It wasn't symbolic. It was crescent law, sacred, like a marking, but on the surface level. And just like that, suddenly it all clicked. The phantom tethers I'd felt, that low-level hum of Corin at the edge of my senses, the way I could still almost smell him sometimes. He hadn't claimed me, no, but the ceremony had been enough to tie us together. He made light of it, Jared went on, bitter, and now he's an outcast. To fix it, the bond has to be consummated, proven. He has to produce a pup with who he originally married. I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was adrenaline, maybe stupidity, but I shoved my oversized jacket aside, revealing my very obvious, very bulging belly. Check, I said breathlessly. Already in progress. Jared's eyes went wide. His voice dropped. It's his? Yes. My heart was racing. Of course it's his. Jared's brows furrowed, confusion chasing shock. Then why the hell is he packing up like he's skipping town? That knocked the air right out of me. What? He's been boxing up his things all week. Word is, he's leaving in 3 days. For good, I stood there in the grocery line, cradling my stomach, groceries forgotten, as the ground shifted under me. Corin wasn't just avoiding me. He wasn't just angry or ashamed or confused. He was leaving. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. 2 hours later, I was tearing up the gravel drive of the Thorns family estate like a man on a mission, except instead of noble purpose, my mission was 90% rage, 10% panic. The front of the house loomed like something out of a period drama. High stone arches, towers, ivy. A place built for dynasties. And inside, Corin apparently deciding dynasties were overrated. I didn't even knock. I barreled through polished hallways I'd walked a few times in the past, my pulse hammering until I found him in his study. And there he was. Corin, kneeling on the floor in shirt sleeves, dust on his hands, packing leather-bound volumes into boxes like he was moving apartments, instead of dismantling centuries of lineage. The sight made my chest twist. What the hell is this? I demanded. My voice cracked against the paneled walls. He looked up, startled, then sighed, expression flattening into something careful. It's exactly what it looks like. I'm leaving, making a clean break. No, I strode in, slammed the door behind me. No, you're not. What about your job? You just transferred back here. You dragged me back into your orbit for this? Without a word, he pointed to the desk. A single page lay there, the ink fresh, the signature dark and deliberate, a resignation letter. I'll start fresh somewhere else, he said quietly. Something in me snapped. You're insane. My voice rose, sharp with fury. Do you think I'm stupid? I know about your family's law now. I know what our marriage meant. Why the hell did you call it off if you knew what it would cost? He looked away. Don't worry about it. My fists clenched. Don't worry? Corin, are you kidding me? It cost you everything. Don't you dare. It's not important. Oh, that's bull... Drop it, Milo. That was it. My anger boiled over. No, I will not drop it. You lied, you disappeared, you left me thinking I wasn't enough, and now you're just packing up like none of it mattered? You don't get to... Because I was blackmailed. The words tore out of him like he'd been holding them in for years. I froze. Corin's jaw tightened. His fists shook. By Elias. My heart stuttered. What? He dragged a hand through his hair, pacing, words spilling bitter and fast. We've hated each other since we were kids. He knew about the law, about what the contract meant. When he found out our marriage had been arranged, not a mating bond, he used it. Said if I didn't divorce you, if I didn't make a spectacle of it, he'd drag my family's name through the mud. He wanted me out. And his voice cracked. I let him win. The room tilted. So you left me. It's a lot more complicated than just leaving you, Milo. You see, Elias is from a rival family, and his family and mine have been at odds for a long time. It didn't help that I pretty much outperformed him as the face of the university owned by his clan. And I was also voted onto the board. Elias needed a leg up, a way to get back at me and at my family. Naturally, I tried to think ahead. I thought I could spare my family the humiliation. His shoulders slumped. But it was never enough. Divorce is still taboo, so I went away. I made it look clean. I swallowed hard. But you came back? Corin met my eyes at last, a raw kind of honesty there. When I heard you'd taken the teaching position here, I knew Elias would circle you like a vulture just to get back at me in any way. I came back because I couldn't let him. I hissed, the anger bubbling up again. You should have told me. From the start, you should have trusted me with all of this. I couldn't! He slammed his fist against the desk. He made it clear, if I didn't play along, he'd take everything down with me. My family prides itself on traditions, and I couldn't gamble with that. And still, he laughed bitterly. He did it anyway. My vision blurred. I scrubbed angrily at my eyes. You shouldn't have shouldered it alone. You idiot. His shoulders sagged. The hardest part wasn't losing the estate, or the money, or the title. The hardest part was looking you in the eyes and lying, pretending I didn't love you. My chest stopped moving. I blinked. What did you just say? He looked at me then. No defenses left. I loved you, Milo. Still do. That's the truth I buried because I thought it would destroy you to know it. And I'm sorry. None of this went the way I planned. His gaze dropped to my stomach, round beneath my jacket. His hand trembled as he lifted it to my shoulder. Is it mine? My throat tightened. Yes, it's yours. For a moment, his expression cracked open. Hope, awe, disbelief, all at once. You could fix things with your clan, I whispered. Now that there's a pup on the way. They'd have to take you back. He was quiet for a long time. Then he shook his head. I don't know if I want that life anymore. The words stabbed deep. My breath caught. Oh. My voice was small, raw. Right. So you don't want me then? Or us, I turned, stumbling toward the door, but his hand caught mine. Milo, wait. His voice broke. I'm sorry. For abandoning you. For ending things at such a pivotal moment. You had just told me you loved me, and I did the unthinkable. I did fall for you, Milo. I fell hard. I was too much of a coward to fight for you then. But now I don't have anything left to lose. My eyes stung. What does that even mean? He swallowed. It means anything. Whatever you want it to mean. I know you can't forgive me overnight, and I won't ask you to. But please, let me be a part of our child's life. The fight went out of me immediately. I was trembling, breathing too fast. I don't want you to go, I admitted, the words ripping out of me. I hate that I've been pining after you all this time. That's why I was so angry, Corin, because I never stopped wanting you. And with everything that's happened with Elias has just made it clear that I need you. I need you here for the first time. His face softened. He stepped closer, cradled my cheek, thumb brushing the dampness there. Then I'm not going anywhere. And when his lips pressed to mine, warm, desperate, and unsteady, I let myself kiss him back. For the first time since the divorce, I didn't feel abandoned. I'll never leave you again, he whispered against my mouth, and I allowed myself to cling to that desperately, not just for my sake, but for the sake of our unborn pup. 2 months later, life didn't look anything like the wreckage it had been. It had teeth still, but now they were mine. It started with the clan. 30 nights of fire-lit halls, elders leaning forward on their thrones, picking through our lives like bones. Every whispered accusation, every rule dragged into the open, and me, standing at Corin's side, trying not to let my knees buckle under the scrutiny. The divorce branded us like a scar, but Elias's blackmail finally came out. laid bare in front of every Crescent bloodline descendant. That was the only thing that saved us. Corin didn't fight for his inheritance. He didn't even want it. I still remember his voice, flat as he told the council they could keep their title, their coffers, their bloody name. But tradition is a monster that doesn't bend. They shoved it back on his shoulders anyway, because the Crescent line doesn't take kindly to broken bonds, and they weren't about to lose face in front of the other clans. The reunification was quieter than our first binding. No feasts, no audience, just us in the old family chapel with a few witnesses. Corin's hands shook when he tied the ceremonial cord around mine, and for once, he didn't hide it. He looked at me like I was the only one in the room, and for the first time, I believed it. Then came the pup. 2 weeks after the ceremony, in the dead of night, I felt the world split open. Hours of labor, my body tearing itself apart. Corin's voice the only anchor I had as I drowned in the pain. And then, silence, followed by the rawest sound I've ever heard. Our child's first cry. Corin held him first. And God's the way he looked down at that tiny, furious face like he'd been waiting his whole life to see it. I think a piece of me healed right then. He handed him to me, hands trembling again, and for once, I didn't hate myself for leaning into him, for letting him be what he was always supposed to be, mine. After that, things moved faster than I could catch my breath. The pup sealed everything. Clan law wrapped around us like iron, binding what love alone hadn't been able to secure. The elders stopped sneering. The whispers died. We were Crescent, whole again. And then there was Elias. I expected blood. Honestly, I did. After everything he'd put us through, after every bruise and every shadow he left on my life, I thought Corin would finally let his teeth sink in. But he didn't. Instead, he bought the school. Just like that. The university that bore Elias's family crest, the legacy he lorded over everyone like a crown. Corin signed a paper, and it was gone. Ours now. And when Elias stormed into the office to rage, Corin didn't lift a hand, didn't raise his voice, just smiled that wolf smile and handed him a letter of appointment. "Congratulations," he said. "You're being promoted." Effective immediately. Head of the new Crescent branch. Overseas, Elias went white, then red, then quiet. Because what was there to say? It was exile wrapped in gold paper, a coffin with air holes. He'd been erased, humiliated, without Corin even breaking a sweat. Later that night, I asked why. Why not finish it? Why not finally bury him? Corin only shook his head, cradling the pup against his chest. "I won't stoop to his level," he said. "He doesn't deserve that much of me. Or you." And that was it. Elias was gone. For the first time in years, I wasn't angry. I wasn't afraid. I had my mate beside me, my pup in my arms, and silence in my head where the noise used to live. Home. That's what it felt like. Home. Conclusion. The days blurred after that. Feedings, sleepless nights, the sound of tiny lungs filling the house with life. It wasn't glamorous, and it sure as hell wasn't easy, but every time I woke up to find Corin still there, pup tucked between us, I knew I wasn't dreaming anymore. He stayed. He chose us. There are scars still. Some you can see, some you can't. I don't forgive him easily, and he doesn't expect me to. But when his hand brushes mine in the dark, when our pup curls his fingers around mine, I realize forgiveness isn't a single moment. It's 1,000 small ones. Elias is gone. The whispers are gone. The noise is gone. What's left is quiet. The kind of quiet I once thought I'd never deserve. And maybe, just maybe, that's what love really is. Not fireworks, not fate. Just someone who leaves the light on, night after night, no matter how long it takes you to come home. The end. Do you believe you don't have to be fated mates to end happy? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.